Hello, my name is Rachel, and today I'm bringing you my April/Owls Readathon wrap-up. So I managed to read 10 things in the month of April, and I'm pretty excited about it. Half of them, though, I feel like did not count for the Owls Readathon, so it was kind of a bummer that I couldn't count all of them, but I did get all of the requirements that I needed to be the librarian at Hogwarts, which is like my dream job. So I'm on track for that. Let's get into the books. So first up, I read Eliza and Her Monsters. This was by Francesca Zappia, and I read this for our high school book club, and while I did not love the ending of this one, I really enjoyed a lot of the ideas in the book a lot more than what I thought I would, and I was pretty surprised at how much I did enjoy this book because I just wasn't that excited about it. And I feel like that was the theme of April. Books I just was not that excited about reading, but I thought were okay anyway. So I ended up giving this 4 out of 5. Like I said, I wasn't crazy about the ending, and if you're unaware, this is about a girl who writes this comic web series. She designs this amazing story, and it's very like sci-fi fantasy detailed. It has so many followers, but she keeps her identity as the author a secret, and she obviously is eventually outed after she meets this boy who is a super fan who writes this amazing fan fiction, and she kind of starts forming this relationship with him. But when he finds out that she's the author and she hasn't told him herself, obviously he's got some problems with that. So it's rife with some teen angst and some different problems. But I think overall it was pretty good. Like I said, I just wasn't crazy about the ending, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next up was a graphic novel that I just thought was super cute, and that was Fake Blood by Whitney Gardner. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I read this in one sitting at a graphic novel and nonfiction library read-in. And originally I had seen this recommended for middle school, and for some reason I thought I was unsure if it was actually appropriate for the middle school level, but it totally is. It's really cute. It is about this boy who is in love with this girl, and she is obsessed with vampires, very a la Twilight-esque, and so he decides that he's going to pretend to start transitioning into a vampire, and it's really cute. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This was my first time reading any of the books in the Lunar Chronicle series, which I really had kind of decided not to read, but it was selected by the students as one of our summer book picks for our crossover book club with the public library for summer reading, and I decided I just wanted to go ahead and get it over with because I just was not excited for this book at all. And it was better than what I thought it was going to be, but I still wasn't that impressed. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. If somehow you're unaware, this is like a Cinderella retelling, but Cinderella in this case is a cyborg. The one thing I did like about this book, though, was there was this crazy plague that was ravaging the town, and they were using cyborgs to test on to try to find a solution. I didn't like that part, I guess I should say. That sounds really mean. But I enjoyed that aspect of the story. I thought that was really creative, and I tend to really like things about plagues because I find them fascinating in a really morbid sort of way. So I enjoyed that part. Other parts, it was kind of meh for me. Overall, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I probably will not be continuing on with the series unless somehow we end up selecting another one in the future for a book club. I was able to count Cinder as my ancient rune since it was a retelling for the Owls Readathon. Then next up I read Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which I absolutely loved. It was so good. I think, again, the ending was a little bit off for me, so that's the only reason I gave it 4 out of 5, and because I've kind of been in a little bit of funk, so I don't think I'm enjoying books as much as I would normally. So I am very excited to reread this when it comes out with the audiobook. They just announced that my dream narrator, Steve West, is going to be narrating for my favorite character, Cal, and I am super excited for that. But anyway, Aurora Rising is this like ragtag space team that ends up saving this girl, and they're on the run, and they've got this crazy heist. Oh, it's so good. You're gonna love it. It comes out this week, so I'll be posting this on Sunday. It will come out the following Tuesday, so this week it's out. You need to go get it. It's really, really good. It's called Aurora Rising, and you're gonna love it. Fantastic. And this one worked for my arithmancy exam because it had more than one author. Next up, I read Refugee by Alan Gratz. This worked as my Defense Against the Dark Arts exam because it started with an R. This is a historical fiction novel told from 3 different points of view. It's 3 teenagers. I guess technically they're all teenagers, young children. I don't think they really say everybody's age except for the boy. The boy has a bar mitzvah in the book, and besides that, I don't think they say. So I think all of the kids are between like 10 to 14-ish. So teenage, preteen range. But anyway, all 3 of them are refugees in different points in time. We have one who is a Jewish boy fleeing Nazi Germany. We have one that is a girl in Cuba during like the 90s, I believe it is, when Fidel Castro's reign is just horrendous, and they're fleeing to America to basically live because they're starving and they have no way to get a better life there. And then there is a boy in Aleppo fleeing to Germany. So it's a very interesting the way they are all going to the same kind of countries, that they all have this pretty much the same setup, just a different time periods throughout history. So it's interesting, but it's also heartbreaking, and it makes you really think about the state of current events. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I think Alan Gratz is a really fantastic writer, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next was another one that I wasn't really super hyped to read, but it was for our school book club, and that was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I think I just wasn't in the mood for this because it has a lot of the things that I would normally like. Some crazy hate-to-love romance. It's got just a ragtag team that come together to do a heist. A lot of world building, but I just wasn't that into it this time. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was okay, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped to enjoy it. And Six of Crows worked for my transformation owl since it had sprayed edges. And then I read Sold by Patricia McCormick. This was a beautifully written book about horrendous things. Basically, it is about a girl who is sold into sex slavery in Nepal/India, and it's wonderful and awful at the same time, and you really need to have a strong stomach, I think, to read this. It's just heartbreaking. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. If you can rate this kind of thing, it was good, but you gotta be tough to be able to read this one. And this worked for my History of Magic exam, which completed the 5 different categories that I needed to read. I also finished up a Charms exam, but I actually read this book in April, and that was Everything's Trash, but it's okay. So I managed to get through 6 total owls before my attention just kind of waned from the Owls Readathon, and I kind of branched off and started reading some other things. So I also read Writing Radar by Jack Gantos. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was very good, but nothing especially spectacular. It's basically just writing advice from Jack Gantos, and I like his voice in this book. I think it will be a great addition to our library, especially for students who are interested in writing. It's explaining basically how to start journaling and then how to use ideas from that journal to write your own story. So I think the content is excellent. I think for me, again, I was kind of in like a little bit of a funk, so I thought it was average, but I think the students will really enjoy it, especially because Jack Gantos is an author himself of books that these students would know and enjoy. So overall, 3 out of 5 stars, but I would highly recommend it to young readers, especially those interested in writing. Next, I read several short stories by Edgar Allan Poe for the Halloween-a-thon. I gave them all 3 out of 5 stars. I think I read The Telltale Heart and several others. I read The Raven, The Cask of Amontillado, and I thought there was one other one that I read as well. So I read several of those, but I didn't finish the whole story collection, so I ended up reading about 90 pages of that before I quit just reading the stories. I also read another short story, The Birds by Daphne du Maurier, which I also gave 3 out of 5 stars. and that finished up the month for me halfway through the Halloween-a-thon. So this coming month, I'm going to be participating in finishing the Halloween-a-thon. I'm going to be doing the Scallywag-a-thon, and then my own readathon at the end of the month, which is the True Crime Readathon. So I don't think I'm going to do a TBR just because there's so many books that are from different categories, but I do hope to have a really good wrap-up for you, and hopefully I will have enjoyed several of them. And yeah, that's all I have for you today, so thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in another video soon. Bye for now.